Score. I'm your host, Elijah Fields. I'm joined today by one of my good friends, my homeboy, Marcus Allen. Marcus, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Man, I can't complain. I've obviously known you since, we were this high. And I think you have a story that people are going to want to hear. But before we get into that, tell people a little bit about yourself.
So grew up in Xenia, Ohio. You know, went to school there, middle school, preschool, elementary. Did most of my time there. And then after that, ended up moving to Inglewood, Ohio, right outside of Dayton, Ohio. Went to school at Northmont High School. Played sports, 3-sport athlete, track, basketball, football as much as I could. And then after that, really, it was just focusing on football in high school. Finishing high school out with some D1 offers. Now in my spot where I'm at now at the University of Wisconsin as a collegiate athlete and as a wide receiver. Still working to get to the next level and everything. But I would say that's really just me.
And the topic that you have today is one I feel like that it's not often talked about. So you hear about how athletes face adversity, but no one really talks about the response. And I feel like you have a lot of experience in that arena in terms of, just having to respond to certain things just throughout life, whether it be in or out of sport. Real quick, first question I want to get off the top of the head is, how do you respond to losing?
Really like responding to losing. I would say like a lot of athletes and a lot of people, like Kobe Bryant, for one instance, like he hits it on the nail. Like you have to take it. Like yes, there's gonna be times, this is throughout sports and throughout life. Like there's gonna be times where you lose and you fail, and it's just like you can't let that time determine you. Like you gotta truly show your true colors, and you gotta dig deep to get out of whatever you're in. If you lose or you fail. Now losing part on the side, like with sports, I would say like losing, like you have to accept it. Like you have to go back and watch your mistakes. You have to go back and watch and see what you can do better, what you can change, you know what I mean? And that makes you a better human being forward, just because you can go back and accept the negative, or you can accept everything else that you did at that time that you wish that you could have changed.
For sure. And that's really good that you speak on that. Just, having the ability to change what you can control like that. That's really good that you speak on that. Real quick, from a mental perspective, honestly, this question comes from a lot of people who know you. We all know the amount of time you put in mentally when you train for long periods of time. Like, what do you tell yourself? Like, just mentally, like, what's that mental conversation look like?
The mental conversation honestly comes down to my why. Like the whole mental aspect. Like that's the biggest thing is why. Like when I'm working and getting ready for a season, or I'm training and doing a whole bunch of stuff, it's like I'm trying to figure out, okay, like why are you doing this? When it gets hard, like why are you doing this? That's your mental, you know what I mean? And mentally, like I got a lot of reasons why. Like shoot, mom's still working, like that's the reason, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not the best situation. I want to make it better. Like that's another reason why. And then like for the people, like my people who've passed away at a young age, family members I've lost, and friend, like, and honestly nowadays, like people who could be in your shoes that didn't have a chance and opportunity. It's like you gotta take all that in and consider all that. So like when I'm working and I think about my mental health and everything, like I just think like, okay, like I'm doing this for a bigger reason. Like I'm doing it bigger than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And honestly, I feel like, I could go down the list of questions, but ultimately, I feel like you're someone who has a lot of good stories. I know that just by, hanging out with you and just stuff like that. You have a lot of good stories. So do you have any stories of when you could talk about when things were tough mentally, and the only thing that you had to do was just like respond? Like you couldn't complain, you couldn't put it on someone else. Like you yourself just had to respond. Do you have any stories you could speak on?
I got I got a quite few. Recently, actually, so like college football and everything, it's not the same as high school,
Right.
and you got things. And so like me coming in as a freshman, I had seniors in front of me, and like I'm working, they're working, we're all working at the same day in the same time. So like me, I feel like it was just unfair. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it's unfair. Like, okay, I'm gonna just push it back to the back burner. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't after that time, like I wasn't honestly taking care of everything I needed to take care of. And at that time, like I tried to tried to find faults in other people, and I wasn't finding faults in my own self, and like looking my own self in the mirror and saying like, okay, like you're not taking care of everything. Like, you know what I mean? And like my dad, like there was times where I was mentally down where I felt like I wasn't the best receiver. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like, you know, like maybe this is it for football. Like, you know what I mean? But there was time for my dad, like he would just tell me, he'd be like, before you make any decision that you're going to regret in life, like, are you taking care of everything you need to take care of on and off the field? And so like, when it came down to that, like I truly wasn't. And my mental, like the mental health aspect, like that's when it really kicked in. And it was just like, okay, like, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I can't do this. I can do that. But it's like, I show glimpses of it every day. Like in practice, like telling me like, dude, you can be great. You can be great. You just got to do this, do that. And it's like, okay, I'm hearing you, but I wasn't understanding. And I feel like from a mental aspect, like I had to rebound. And when I say like rebound, like I got moved from the ones to the twos. Like that was an eye opener. Like I'm like, oh, I'm with the twos now. Like, I got to get back with ones. Like up there.
Right.
And, like two, like mentally, I understood that nobody's gonna pull you out of that dark place. You know what I mean? Like people got other stuff they be doing in their lives. Like people got other stuff that they gotta handle too. So like you gotta find a way to work with yourself on the mental health aspect to be able to pull yourself up out of that. And the way I responded really was last 2 weeks of spring practice. I had the best practices I had all spring. And it was just really about making it like when I walked on the field, I was like, okay, like I do this. Like I know what I'm doing. Like now let's play it. Like don't think about the plays. Do what you need to do. And that helped me rebound and get another edge on the dudes I'm going against in my receiver room and another edge on dudes just on the team. And the coaches seen that and they understood that. And that's how you respond. And really, like, it's all about how you respond.
Yeah. And honestly, I agree. I feel like, you know, again, like I said, everyone talks about, oh, adversity, this, or, oh, you know, you have the challenge in front of you. Well, it's kind of like no one really talks about the after effects of that. Like, oh, how do you respond from success or failure? And then that leads me into my next question. I know you're very goal driven. What does visualizing victory or success look like for you? Like, what does that look like?
I would say visualizing success. You know, really, number one is being disciplined. Like, you got to be disciplined, like, to a certain extent, you know what I mean? Just because, like, people are going to push you, people are going to do what they want, and they're going to tell you what they want to tell you, but it's just, like, at the end of the day, you got to have that discipline to keep going. Like, there's not always going to be an applaud at the end. Secondly, I would just say, like, a routine. Like, me was a routine. Like, every time I started a routine, I was getting there. I'm getting there. And then when I deviate, it was like, dang, like now I'm back 6 steps. I gotta keep climbing. You know what I mean? And it's just like I would say like to be goal driven and to have the goals that you want and that you want to pursue and you want to, you know, have in life, like you gotta have discipline, you gotta have a routine. Because like if you have a routine, it makes everything easier. And then if you're disciplined enough to know right from wrong. You're disciplined enough to know what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean? So I would say discipline is like the main thing. Like when I look at my goals and I write them down and try to manifest them.
Yeah, that puts in perspective like how possible it is once you have a routine. And you know, you mentioned like going through your routines. That's something that helps you, and it is very fluid in your process. So on the flip side of that question, we talked about what success looks like. Man, again, the main goal of this episode is to talk about, you know, responding. What is like frustration or like a down bad, you know, as we say, as like, what does a down bad day look like? Or just, you know, walk us through like what frustration looks like, and then kind of talk a little bit about how, you know, it's not a forever thing.
I would say like frustration, you know, like for me, there might be days like I'll get to the facility, like I do my treatment, I do my, you know, my rehab, my prehab before practice. I go out to practice and maybe I do drop a ball. Like maybe I, you know, do mess up a play, I mess up a call or something. But like after that, like the frustration, it builds and it builds and it builds, but it only builds as much as you want it to. You know what I mean? Like builds if you let it get to you. And I feel like that's like one of the, like, I'm glad you asked me that question because like that's one of the things like I'm trying to work with now. It's like when I do mess up or I do make a mistake, how do I bounce back? You know what I mean? And I feel like this question, like that's perfect. It's just because like you're going to have mistakes. We're human. Every human's going to have it. It's just like, even if you get knocked off that routine with frustration or you're angry or you're mad or something, like, you got to move on. Like, you just got to, this is it. This happened. Now I got to move on, make sure it don't happen again. You know what I mean? So that's really what I just do. Like, when things get frustrating or when things don't go my way in my day or something, it's like, okay, accept the fact and move on.
Right. So you mentioned earlier, you obviously grew up playing a lot of team sports. And you obviously, when you're a part of a team, you give a little bit of yourself to contribute towards one goal ultimately. And I want to know, like, at a high level, what does it look like to devote yourself to others mentally?
I would say really devoting yourself to others mentally. It would come from like trying to promote communication from other teammates. Like, really, I would say, like, me, like, mentally, from the mental aspect, like, giving back to my team, I'll go check on another player. Like, we'll come in, their head might be down. I'll go, hey, like, how's your day going? You know what I mean? Like, talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go do stuff like that just because, like, that's all some people need. Some people, all they need is just one person. They just need one person to get everything off the chest, because, like, we're athletes at the end of the day, but we're human also. And at the end of the day, you understand, like, there's other stuff that you're handling with family, back at home, with girlfriend, whatever you got going on in your circle. Like, there's always going to be something. And it's just like, me giving back mentally, I'll reach out to my teammates. I'll invite them over for a cookout. Like, we just had a cookout. I'll invite them over.
Right. You
know what I mean? And then I would say, like, also from a mental aspect, is just like being considerate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And understanding that, okay, they might be going through something. Like, you go through something every day. Like, you as a human person, you might go through stuff, but it's just like, there's always that time when someone reaches out and it just boosts your day just a little bit. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. And I feel like that aspect is, like, really just reaching out, communicating with your teammates, just saying a simple question like, how's the day going? You know what I mean?
Man, I agree with that 100%. I think typically, you haven't had any false notes when you've spoken, but the only thing that scares me is the cookout. Are you still burning stuff up, or can you, like, cook the grill this time?
Nah, we actually cooking now. I done boosted up my skills now.
Okay, all right. Because I know that there are points and times when you called yourself cooking, but it was a little crisp. You know that pizza I'm talking about. Man, that's good. And I think what's underrated now, and you hear a lot of the older generation say it, is social media is taking us away from, like, the camaraderie and team building that is necessary in order to be successful. But it sounds like you as a person, you're committing to that and buying in. Couple of questions I want to get before I get you out of here. As far as philosophy, so, like, just day to day, this could be on any level, whether it be Pee-wee, middle school, high school, or now. What philosophies do you feel like get you in and out of, good situations and tough situations? Because when I think of philosophies, I think of something that you can go back to. Like, I'm gonna have Brooke Cups on here. He's the basketball coach at Centerville. He talks about, his core values: tough, passionate, unified, and thankful. And when you think of philosophies and core values, you think of stuff you can go to in good and bad times. I mean, what do those look like for you?
Really, I would say it's a quote that we have around our facility here in Madison. Smart, tough, dependable. Like, this is the people that we made. And you know what I mean? Like, here at UW, it's a blue collar university. And you know what I mean? So, like, smart, tough, dependable. Like, when I'm down and everything, I'm like, okay, well, I'm smart, tough, but can the team depend on me right now when I'm weak? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when there's a sticky situation I'm in, either if it's in life or even if it's on the football field. Like, the smart aspect is, like, think of how you can respond. Don't think of okay, respond just off of what I needed to say off my head. You know what I mean? It's just like, how could you respond? Could you respond in a positive way? Could you respond in a negative way? You know what I mean? And then I would say, like, the third is, like, men in the world are portrayed to be tough. You know what I mean? You're portrayed not to, like, you're told if you cry, you're a female. If you do this, you're that. You know what I mean? But the tough part, I would say, is, like, really understanding that you got yourself in a situation, you can get yourself out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like being that tough part and handling stuff like outside of football and off the field and on the field, like you just got to understand, like, okay, like I'm tough. Like I know I can do it. You know what I mean? Like just put confidence in yourself, get it done. And I feel like those three core value words that I look at every day when I walk in the city is smart, tough, dependable. And I feel like they can hit on every aspect of life.
Man, I think that's really good. That you can draw to those in good and bad moments. Like, and the fact that you have to see those every day, like I'm sure that helps a lot being able to see those every day. As you walk in the facility, or is it just like how is it posted?
As we walk in the facility, like when we walk in the facility, like football area, like it's right there on the wall on a big board.
And then the last thing I want to talk about, just because I feel like you alone have seen a lot of aspects just coming up through this game, whether it be recruiting, friendships, stats. I think so. Typically, what I do is before I end, I always ask my guests to share one thing, no matter what it is, with the audience. Just share one message, because I feel like, I have you guys on here. I'm asking you guys to be authentic. What would be your message to anyone listening who, may be going through that recruiting process or worrying about stats or, just anything? Like, I feel like you've been through a lot of it in your short but successful, football career.
I would really say like the recruiting aspect, go with your heart and go where you're needed and wanted. You know what I mean? Recruiting, it can get crazy and it can take a lot of time off your hands, especially like your parents. Like going through and navigating my way through recruiting, I learned that you want to go to a place where you're needed and wanted, just because like these are the people you're going to put yourself around for the next 4 to 5 years. And like there's some relationships that you're going to make these next 4 to 5 years that can lead you to way bigger jobs outside of the sport that you do. Yeah. And, like, I feel like that's really a big thing. Besides going to a school that's flashy, besides going to a school that's sending you letters all the time, texting you and stuff, it's like they're doing their part for a reason. You know what I mean? Because it's a recruiting and it's a business at the end of the day. Like, if they don't get the best players, then they're probably not going to have a good job. You know what I mean? So, yeah, really, really try to keep your eyes open on the main thing. And I feel like the main thing is find something and find a place where it's a family atmosphere. You know what I mean? They want you and need you. Like, every school's going to want you to come, but it's the schools that need you to come. Like, we need you to come in and do this, and do that. That's what you have to look at. And then I would say, like for people or athletes who go through like mental health, like that's a big aspect I've been hitting on. And, I'm taking classes actually right now at Rehab Psych, and we're talking about mental health. And so with the mental health part, never be shy to reach out to anyone. Like, you could reach out to me. My Instagram's going to be up there. You could reach out on it. Just having that person to talk to, I feel like takes a lot of stress off your shoulders as an athlete and even as a human. Yeah. And at the mental part, like that's everything. Like that's the thing that controls a lot of stuff in the body. So it's like you gotta to relax, and like we have this one mentor here, Chad McGehee. He says to stretch your brain, like to decompress your brain. Like you have to have those mental talks. You got to have like those mental workouts and everything just to, keep going and keep doing what you need to do. And in those mental workouts, it's just asking the questions like, okay, where's your head at? Like, why are you thinking this? What's making you think this? Like questions like that. That's what he means by mental. It's actually making you think like, okay, what's the bigger picture and why is this happening? And I feel like as an athlete, we need to embrace that. Besides being scared that mental health is considered weak, it's not considered weak. And you know what I mean? I feel like we should embrace that and, start putting action into our plans and reach out and talk to people, because there's people that care about you out there, and it's you as a human and you as an athlete. And I feel like if we start pushing that more and everything, then, the mental health numbers will go down. But right now they're skyrocket. And it's because a lot of people probably fear, okay, well, I'll look weak if I go talk to someone. Like, don't think that. Go on, family, friends, anybody. My Instagram will be open to talk to anyone. And I'll always be available for anyone.
And that ultimately, like, you again just hit it like right on the nail. I think what's happening is it's a cultural thing. So we have mental health that is just now being focused on generally, and then you have a whole nother battle with athletes. I think right now it's important that while we have this attention on mental health for the general population, we go ahead and we try to fight it with, the athletes as well. And I think you just talked a lot about what More Than a Score is about. It's a chance to give people, that opportunity to speak on experiences or stories or just, what could be on their brain and on their heart, man. That was really good.
I appreciate it.
For sure, man. We appreciate you coming by. It's always good talking to you, man. I'll definitely be in touch.